Okay, so I want to do something a little different this week, and I want to talk about a topic in AI and in AI research, and then I'm going to segue that into a story. The idea is that right now, AI is not really intelligent enough to make new kinds of scientific and technological discoveries. It's pretty smart. You can't call it an expert in all fields, really. And it also doesn't have the diligence in its sort of thinking process to create new kinds of discoveries like those. But the idea is that in the future, as models become larger and more efficient and the hardware they're running on becomes more and more powerful, we will have super intelligences, the kinds of intelligences that are experts in all fields of science. And then if you can engineer a sort of creativity into those models and the ability to make connections between existing pieces of human knowledge, it'll be able to make new scientific and technological discoveries, potentially at a scale that we've never seen before, something completely unanticipated, like a insane exponential growth in our scientific and technological capabilities as humans. So that's the prediction, that this future will exist. These machines or processes, my favorite acronym for them is Process for Automating Scientific and Technological Advancement, or PASTA. Now, if anybody has a better acronym, please let me know. But this PASTA is anticipated to exist at some point in the future. It's going to completely change human society, similar to the way that the Great Enlightenment completely changed human society. And upper circles in Silicon Valley have been talking about this a lot. AI researchers talk about this a lot because there's a lot of risk inherent as well. So the piece of news is Eric Schmidt. You haven't heard of Eric Schmidt. He's a extremely successful and wealthy American businessman. He was the CEO of Google from 2000, and he sits on a lot of different boards. He has a lot of influence. He announced a new organization that he's founding and he's funding. That's a fully philanthropic organization. It's untitled as of the moment. But the aim of this organization is to use AI to push scientific advancement. Now, this idea of PASTA that I was talking about is something that Eric Schmidt himself has been avid proponent of in the past years. And it may be that these new advancements in NLP technologies and large language models made him realize that it's time to invest money into this. So why is this important? AI research of this kind is extremely expensive, both on the training end. So to train these models can cost millions and millions of dollars and use thousands of extremely expensive GPUs. It's also expensive from a talent perspective because you're hiring not only a whole bunch of PhDs, but you're seeking to hire the best PhDs out there in artificial intelligence and in sciences like chemistry, biochemistry, physics, etc. For example, Netflix just posted a job recently for a machine learning engineer, and the salary is $900,000. So we're talking about a lot of money to run this kind of organization, both operationally and to just fund the people to join. The other issue is startups can sometimes amass enormous amounts of money like this to pay these kinds of researchers because they have an excellent business model and they can convince a VC or a private investor to give them billions of dollars. And they say that this is going to lead to crazy amounts of money for you in the future. So give us billions of dollars now. Isn't so effective in this case because there's not really a clear model for advancing scientific and technological research. The advantage here of this kind of organization, fully philanthropic. So you would assume the research they're going to be doing is going to be open source and in the best interest of everyone, not just in their primary investor, Eric Schmidt, but they're going to be able to create, or the goal is to create a space where you can bring the best researchers in many fields of science and kind of throw them in the melting pot, mix them around and see what comes out. Because we have the technology and AI for advancing some scientific methods and creating new discoveries. I'm not a scientific expert anyway, so I can't pull up examples of those out of the top of my head, but you can go look it up. You can go read papers yourself. It's really interesting stuff. We have that technology, but what we don't have are the environments where an expert in a scientific field and an expert in artificial intelligence research can work together and iterate and create some new model or intelligence of some kind that can help solve these problems. So Eric Schmidt with this organization is trying to create that environment where you can bring the best scientists and the best AI researchers and together build things that can really push the fold in terms of AI research. Now, we don't know quite who's going to be in the company yet. There's only been a few people announced. These include really excellent, prolific researchers in biochemistry and in chemistry. What we do know is that it's going to be attracting top talent. They're going to pay competitive wages. And the people that they've hired are already these kinds of people that share the idea that this kind of PAW this process for automating scientific and technological advancement, is going to change the way we all live our lives. It's going to come outside the laboratory and it's going to, who knows, make flying cars or cure cancer or cure Alzheimer's. There's a lot of predictions around these kinds of things that have been made, and they can be pretty mind-blowing. But with a super intelligence, any of this could be possible. There's another company also or I would say that there's a second reason that this kind of philanthropic organization headed by a very wealthy businessman is something to keep eyes on, because about 10 years ago, OpenAI was founded with a very similar principle. The goal was to create artificial intelligence that can benefit everybody. And they started out fully philanthropic, fully nonprofit. Elon Musk, for a very long time, was the primary benefactor. And eventually he pulled out of the project. And I suspect that's what led to OpenAI becoming a private company owned by Microsoft. But this kind of environment where you can attract the best talent, you can work on projects that at the moment might not have a clear business model, but could lead to exponential profits or exponential benefits for everybody. This has worked in the past. And Eric Schmidt has a lot of money, a lot of resources, a lot of connections. So this new organization he's created could lead to these processes for advancing scientific and tech through artificial intelligence and lead to a scientific and technological future that's entirely unprecedented and very exciting.